Well, good afternoon, SINCON 2021. I'm Ben Sullivan, as Ethan mentioned, and I'll be with you for the next 20 minutes or so. As Ethan mentioned, my current role is the Technical Director of Cybersecurity for the NextGen Group, and we are very proud to be platinum sponsors of this amazing event alongside our friends at Micro Focus and a bunch of other really great technology. So really great to be a part of it. So thank you for joining me on this BizCon track. I'm running this session live. And I'm monitoring the Discord channel right now, and I can see a few people are throwing things in there. I appreciate that, Fudley, with the clapping and applause. Haven't said too much yet, so I hope I'm impressive already. So please shoot me through some questions, comments, and I'll get to them throughout. I'm more than happy to direct my energy towards the Discord if there are things that people want to talk through and understand about my previous roles. Now, my position allows me the privilege to be here today and to talk day to day with forward-thinking, creative, and amazing people like yourselves as I assist in transformational change to the way in which we look at, we implement, and we assess cybersecurity postures across organizations looking to secure their digital ecosystem from the vast and ever-changing and critically unique threat landscape. Now, I said unique, and that was by design, whilst some of the tool sets might be household names in cybersecurity and by networking and definition of all things IT, the application of them is never the same. So if you agree with that one, as first off, throw a couple of thumbs up into the Discord channel. I'm very passionate about that because whilst we might understand those names, again, the use and the application of those tool sets is very unique into every organization. Thank you, Fudley. The reason I mentioned my current role is to give you some context to how I got to be into cybersecurity, because the journey I'll take you on this afternoon is not designed to be a flex on my past. I'm generally very concerted about my past, but delivering these sessions are more of a journey to how my time in the Special Forces community has played such a defining role in how I approach cybersecurity in general. We'll go into how the psychology of a Special Forces culture and mindset is directly translatable to many aspects of the industry, whether it is a leadership team level or those looking to transition into the realm of cybersecurity. So as you can see here, the picture on the left is, my beard is a little bit grayer. The piercing stare has been replaced with a smile. Now, this was me in Afghanistan in 2013 at the tail end of a long and action-packed tour. I have to add here, for security purposes, patches and identifying marks on my uniform and my brothers to the left and right have been altered, much like the wider image has been cropped as current serving members are afforded protected identity status. Now, I spent a decade serving in the Australian Army, and the lion's share of that within the Special Forces community, as you can see, 9 years. And I was fortunate enough to be selected during my initial training to begin the psychometric testing as the initial vector into the Special Forces community. Now, as a 21-year-old, the thought of going through the first stage of Special Forces as an enabling force is daunting in itself. That was quite scary to be selected for that piece, let alone the prospect of being asked to go through a significant amount of psychometric testing, including many interviews with senior psychologists. Now, for the life of me, I could not work out why this was so cumbersome, why the psychometric testing was so intense and rigorous. And it wasn't until I was embedded within my unit in the first 2 or 3 years that I really realized the true value in these tests and how it impacted the capability of the team, the unit I was posted to, and the wider defense forces globally to seek the small percentile that had the predefining qualities of the Special Forces mindset. Now, my role changed exponentially. I've just got to give a shout out to that GIF in the Discord channel. I love a good GIF, as you've probably noted in that Discord channel. Now, my role changed exponentially, and the units within the Special Forces community that I supported around the globe, whether that was in wartime, peacetime, enabling, or training roles, and conducting operations in a range of places, either publicly or under the cloak of the Special Forces. Over the years, as a critical enabler, I took particular interest in the evolution of electronic countermeasure systems, and how these systems in their earliest sense were designed to protect by manipulation of the electromagnetic spectrum. As these systems became critical in many areas of operation that we were making impact, I positioned myself into the expansion of their capability to redefine the single use to protect, in the traditional sense of electronic countermeasures, into a more collect, identify, detect, protect, and destroy capability, using many of the tools we have in our cyber tool belts to assist in the definition of cyber practices from both sides of the multi-domain warfare. Now, I was fortunate enough to work alongside some of the most amazing humans in all facets and cultures in life, I got to experience the growth of technology at a rapid rate. We were the front line for some of these testing capabilities that are now public knowledge. And some of the experiences that have changed me and my outlook on life for the better. That was all due to some people believing in me in my first instance and pushing me to go through the psychometric testing, and then flowing on from that, the rigorous testing and training that enabled us into becoming Special Forces enablers. So you can see there in the map, there's just a number of places I have been across the globe. There are some that I can't put on there, but these are just some of the places I've been to, as I mentioned, in wartime, peacetime, training, enablement, or just assisting roles. Now, the role of the modern day Special Forces soldier, that's what we're here to talk about today, and the mindset of that and how it impacts into our cybersecurity more generally. Much like the role of the predicating Special Forces soldiers leading to this point is to be critically minded. It's to be adaptable and self-aware soldier that understands their role as a member of a team as much as it does of itself as an individual. The mindset that is required needs to have certain metrics that will allow the trainability to an ever-evolving threat landscape. Now, I pause on trainability because we will talk about that in more detail shortly, but extending the multiple domains of warfare within the best interest of the mission at hand. You'll hear me say that throughout the talk this afternoon, extending multiple domains of warfare. That's directly translatable into cybersecurity in that we don't just operate in one domain. We operate in multiple facets of, whether that's the OSI model or whether that extends into social engineering. There are multiple domains of cyber warfare. Now, personal requirements such as versatility, agility, effectiveness, speed, and surprise, working both independently and in direct support of others, are often highlighted in published materials concerning special operational forces. Now, to distinguish a special forces operator, and especially an enabler from soldiers in other military units, the term elite warrior was coined in 2007 to pinpoint that operators typically demonstrate superior task performance relative to the performance of the larger military population, thus underlying the specialness of those warriors. The term warrior diplomat was also coined in 2015 to describe the future image of these personnel with the mindset that was holistically approached. In 2007, when it was broached that the elite warrior term was coined, it didn't take into consideration the vast quantity of psychometric testing and the availability of the Special Forces mindset into that context. So thus enabling the optimal job performance across different sectors and the multiple domains of warfare again, and institutions at an international context. Now, if you allow me the liberty to condense such a broad understanding that is well documented, and there are numerous studies published with differing opinions on this, the Special Forces soldier is not seen as hardware. They are an asset that contains the psyche, the brain power, the mindset that extends beyond the traditional warfighter. And why on earth am I giving you this background? We're here to talk about cybersecurity, am I right? The key takeaway here is to understand that a Special Forces mindset is capable of critical thinking. It's capable of awareness of self, surroundings, and others, and it can adapt to rapid change. It is process-driven and compassionate to cause, and it can relate or translate history, current, and forward thought processing. These can be adopted and mentored into your mindset, into your team, and to your organization as we look to strive towards an uplift in security postures across organizations. Now, there's a cool quote just down the bottom there. That image you're seeing now is actually a mind map of essentially an ECG mind map, which is, I think is really cool just to showcase the brain power and the fact that we don't achieve such an impact on our brain when we don't apply it. So that quote down the bottom, as I mentioned earlier, people are more important than hardware, that was actually released by US SOCO in 2019 as part of their government documentation. Now, there are a few key takeaways that I wanted to share with you, and with that, it's imperative to understand the differentiations between. Now, with that, I'll take you through over the next few slides individually what these are and what they mean, and then how we can import them or we can deploy them into our current tactics used in cybersecurity to develop more of a mindset that is in line with that of Special Forces soldiers. So first up is history. Now, why do we need to know about history? We need to know about history for rear view learning. Now, I'll just pause there and I'll give you some context about why I talk about rear view learning, in the vehicle learning, and windscreen learning. I like to look at cybersecurity, especially in my past, in the relative to a vehicle. If we're all sitting in a car, there is the current state, which is in the vehicle. That is exactly what's around us at the time. Rear view learning and rear view thinking is that from the past. Now we need to understand the past in order to be present. And forward thinking or windscreen thinking is seeing what's coming ahead. We need to understand that in order to prepare ourselves in the constant state of excellence or constant pursuit of excellence or preparedness is through that forward windscreen thinking. So with this slide and the next few slides, I'll take you through the journey inside that vehicle. First is history, and that rear view learning for forward thinking. The quote down the bottom from Martin Luther King is, "We are not makers of history, we are made by history," is ever present. Now, I've got some key images up there to decipher that. And one of them is the World War II image you're seeing at the top. It's over 100 years ago. But militaries across the globe are still learning from what has happened, what will happen, and what is happening as a result of World War II. That extends not just from World War II, World War I, and the predicating wars that existed to this point. If we relate that to cybersecurity, the bottom image is one of the first emails that were ever sent in 1971. We need to understand our foundations and the lessons learned from those foundations to impact our current state. Things like Stuxnet, things like ransomware and where it started, and now moving into ransomware as a service, and these criminal gangs that are using that and leveraging that. We need to understand from our predicating impacts on cybersecurity and technology to understand what we're getting ourselves into for current state, which is in that vehicle learning. We need to have true historical knowledge. It's not just about learning from Stuxnet. It's starting at the base layer. It's understanding why email was created. Email was created so that we have a form of electronic mail. And with that, it was designed so that we could have a quick and easy way to connect with other people from around the globe. Now, with that comes social engineering. And by default, social engineering was a part of the electronic email presence from the word go. Now, with that, it evolved into phishing emails. And we still know today that it is one of the primary vectors of attack through email, because there are social impacts on why email is created. The third point there is trainability. The trainability is a critical layer of the SF mindset. It is one determining factor for a special forces soldier. If they have the trainability aspect in the psychometric testing, it is a big tick. The trainability is what we need in cybersecurity, and trainability extends not just from your current state. It's the ability to learn on the fly. It's the ability to pivot. It's the ability to learn as technology increases. It's the ability to learn as technology moves and shifts. Unfortunately, or fortunately for those that are interested, is that we're in a realm where technology is constantly evolving, and with that, the nefarious side of technology is evolving with it. Just checking the Discord channel, there's a few things on there at the moment. Ethan, I really resonate with the mentality of excellence as the fundamental mindset to have. It's absolutely true. It couldn't be truer, and it's something that is a foundational element, again, of an SF mindset. The next piece here is inside the vehicle. Now, at its core self, we're talking about self-awareness, and that refers to candid understanding of a person's needs, principles, thought patterns, goals, motivations, emotional reflections, ambitions, strengths, and limitations, and how these affect other people. Once this skill is developed, regularly practiced, it allows leaders and users, forgive me for 2 seconds, to better manage the conduct and enhance relationships and interactions with others. That doesn't just extend to leaders, that extends to everyone within the team. Now, self-awareness allows leaders to project positivity. It also allows members of the team to project ideas, increasing their effective presence within the team. However, self-awareness is not just about what needs to be done. It is also about about knowing what not to do. I've got a quote down there from Socrates: "To know thyself is the beginning of wisdom." Now, we talk about inside vehicle learning and what is present. Self-awareness is critical to become present. situational awareness is always important. Now, situational awareness, as you can see there, we've got a sniper hide. It's not just about the sniper that sits behind the weapon. It's the person that sits behind the sniper that is doing the observability piece. And then behind that, there's two other soldiers that are doing routine security to make sure that it's not just the two people that are looking forward. We have a 360-degree view in order to achieve situational awareness. Members of a cybersecurity team, members of a cybersecurity practice, or people that wanting to get us into cybersecurity can't just rely on yourself as an individual. We need to extend that. All of us do it. We rely on things like Google. We rely on team members. We rely on people. We need to have that situational awareness of who's around us at any one time. We need to be self-critical, and we need to have self-development. If we don't have that, that last piece isn't achievable, which is knowing what not to do in certain times. Having that 360-degree visibility of situational awareness inside the vehicle is critical in order to achieve what we're trying to do, which is security uplift. Now, what I talk about in this piece is this is still in the vehicle. So we're still in present state, but this extends between present state and future state. We need to understand what is the team. The reason I have that up there is because the team, by definition, is the people within it. But in cybersecurity, we need to understand, and this is especially present in the Special Forces community, is the tools you have in order to achieve the outcome, which might be the mission, which might be an incident response, all impact the greater good of that team. So therefore, the tools that we have are part of the team. We need to treat those tools as such. It's very often that I go into a cybersecurity conversation with an organization, we're talking about enterprise level, and we get an understanding of what tool sets they have within the organization. At that point, it becomes apparent that they might be paying for and they might be subscribing to a large, vast majority of the modules that extend within those technologies, but they're only leveraging 20%, 30%, 40% of that tool set. We need to grasp the concept that the team extends to our technologies, it extends to our tool sets, and we need to treat them as such and understand the capabilities of those teams. And that extends into the next point, which is team awareness. We need to be aware of the capabilities within our team. We need to be aware of who's the expert in this, who's the expert in that. Is it a tool set? Is it a person? Or is it a hybrid combination of both? And how do we then apply best interests to achieve that outcome? Third piece there is team criticality. If one technology falls over, what's next? If for the incident that is occurring happens on a public holiday and half our team is away, what happens next? Which then extends into the last point, which is role crossover. We need to have role crossover, technology and vendor in depth. We need to make sure that our systems and our tools and our people are trained so that there is crossover and we can assist and we can carry on if things happen. Quote down the bottom, if I've seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants by Isaac Newton. For me, in my previous experience, and you can see in this image here, we were conducting a beach landing. This was a reconnaissance phase. I was inserted with a sniper reconnaissance team. We did a week's worth of reconnaissance on this beach before we allowed for the forces to enter the beach and be deployed onto that field of operations. Each of us understood the role in our team, but each of us also had crossover into other roles so that it wasn't just relied on that one person within the team. And that's the mindset of trainability. It's the trainability into other roles and the willingness to learn. So this piece comes to the final one is windscreen and forward vision. It's that constant pursuit of readiness. It's the constant pursuit of excellence. And the quote down the bottom there from Vince Lombardi is, perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. That resonates really well with me, especially in a SOC environment. Is that third point there is rehearsal of concept. In the special forces and more widely into regular military units now is a rehearsal of concept. You can see in the image on the top left, it is a mock-up building of a scenario that we were practicing for. Local terrorism events, we were stepping up and building, or it wasn't us building, it was other teams building facilities that were direct replica based off blueprint and maps of the buildings that we were going to target and we were trying to intercept or we were trying to protect. And the rehearsal of the concept extends from tabletop exercises all the way through to walkthrough talkthroughs. And that is a direct correlation with cybersecurity practices within the SOC environment, within regular organizational environments. It even extends into personal security. You need to be aware of what is happening next at the point of breach. We need to be aware of everyone's roles. We need to be aware of everyone's limitations. We need to be aware of what happens as things progress. We called it the rock drill, rehearsal of concept. It's a drill, it's an exercise. And in order to achieve that, Vince Lombardi's quote stands strong. And the last point there for future forward thinking is maximize tech in depth. It's about looking for those technologies that have in-depth solutions. It's about the next generation of technologies. It's about looking at what the next framework is. It's about not becoming stagnant within our security postures. And it's never become more present than right now. And we keep seeing breaches that could have been protected based on the historical learnings of prior breaches. Now, that's come to the end of my time to talk today, but I appreciate everyone with me. I just wanted to leave you with this. Now, the military mindset and more predominantly the SF mindset, or the Special Forces mindset, is closely aligned to that of the zero trust philosophy. Now, this isn't a pitch. This is just me. Now, internal to the team, it is truly a brotherhood in the Special Forces. But even then, the concepts, the capabilities, and the conduct of warfare within are constantly verified in order to maintain a constant state of readiness in that pursuit of excellence. Much like your teams, yourselves, and your organizations, adopting this principle of the constant pursuit of readiness or excellence through routine and rigorous verification concepts, capabilities, and conduct will afford a much more robust and resilient cybersecurity posture. I hope you learned something out of that last 24 minutes. I've gone over by a little bit, so I'm sure that Emil and Ethan are there wondering when I'm going to wrap up. But I appreciate you all being with me on this session today. I appreciate you all being with us on SINCON 21. And I look forward to meeting you all hopefully next year if we can all get together and do this in person at some time. Yep. I'll be on the Discord channel for a little bit longer if anyone's got any questions or wants to reach out. By all means, please do.